This is the story of America's aircraft that shaped the skies of World War II. From fast-moving fighters to heavy-hitting bombers, every machine had a mission. Some protected the homeland, some escorted bombers across oceans, and others changed the course of the war. Let's begin with the fighters. Bell P-39 Airacobra, a unique aircraft with its engine placed behind the pilot. Its powerful 37mm cannon fired straight through the propeller hub. Although it wasn't favored in U.S. service, it became a legend in the Soviet Air Force. Boeing P-26 P-Shooter, America's last fighter with an open cockpit and fixed landing gear. Old by 1941, yet it still fought bravely during the defense of the Philippines. Brewster F-2, a Buffalo, the U.S. Navy's first monoplane fighter. It struggled in the Pacific, but achieved surprising success in the hands of Finnish pilots. Curtiss P-36 Hawk, a stepping stone toward modern fighter design. It performed well early in the war, but was soon replaced by newer aircraft. Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, rugged, reliable, and loved by the Flying Tigers, known for its strong low-altitude performance. Grumman F-4F Wildcat, slow but unbelievably tough. Its durability kept the U.S. Navy in the fight during the early Pacific battles. Grumman F-6 Hellcat, the aircraft that turned the tide. With a stunning kill ratio, it dominated Japanese fighters throughout the war. Lockheed P-38 Lightning, with its twin-boom design, it became one of America's most iconic fighters. Fast, long-ranged, and lethal. It remained in production from Pearl Harbor to VJ Day. North American P-51 Mustang, the fighter that changed everything. With the Rolls-Royce Mudden engine, it escorted bombers deep into enemy territory and ensured air superiority over Europe. Northrop P-61 Black Widow, America's first purpose-built night fighter. Equipped with radar and a three-man crew, it hunted enemy aircraft in complete darkness. Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, massive, powerful, and nearly indestructible. Deadly in ground attack missions and feared by enemy pilots. Volt F-4U, Corsair Gnon Ast, Te Whistling Death. Porse, aggressive, and instantly recognizable with its inverted gull wings. Now, let's move on to the aircraft that delivered destruction from above the American bombers of World War II. Now let's move to the Bomberster aircraft that carried America's firepower across continents. Boeing D-17 Flying Fortress, one of the most iconic bombers of the war. Known for its incredible toughness, this four-engine giant often returned home with massive damage after flying through heavy flak and enemy fighters. Its long range and high payload made it essential for missions across Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Boeing B-29 Superfortress, a technological leap forward. Pressurized cabins, remote-controlled gun turrets, and long reach made it the ultimate heavy bomber. It delivered the atomic bombs and played a decisive role in ending the war in the Pacific. Douglas B-18 Bolo, a pre-war medium bomber that quickly became outdated, it was soon reassigned to patrol and transport duties. Douglas B-23 Dragon, an improved B-18 that saw little combat, but became a fast, reliable transport aircraft within the United States. Martin B-26 Semirota, early pilots called it the Widowmaker because of its demanding landing speed, but once mastered, it became one of the most efficient medium bombers of the war. North American B-25. Mitchell made famous by the WW2 raid. This vessel aircraft handled everything from level bombing to low-altitude strafing, attacks across multiple theaters. Lockheed Ventura, originally based on a transport aircraft, it served mainly with the Royal Air Force before becoming a patrol bomber for the U.S. Navy. Douglas A-20 Havoc, a fast, maneuverable light bomber used for night attacks, ground strikes, and low-level missions across Europe and the Pacific. Douglas A-24 Banshee, the Army Air Force's version of the SBD Dauntless. It saw heavy combat, early in the war, especially in the Dutch East Indies. Douglas A-26 Invader. Arriving late in the conflict, this twin-engine attacker became a favorite for its high speed and devastating firepower. Martin Mariland supplied mainly to Britain and France, where it supported early operations in North Africa. Martin Baltimore, a tough and reliable successor to the Maryland, widely used by British and Commonwealth forces in the Mediterranean. North American A-36 Apache, a dive bomber variant of the P-51 Mustang. Bolt of Vengeance, a two-seat dive bomber used heavily by the RAF and RAF in Southeast Asia. Curtiss SB-2C, Helderva nicknamed the Beast. Early problems affected its reputation, but later versions became formidable dive bombers for the U.S. Navy. Douglas S. Dauntless, the star of the Pacific's early battles. Let's continue with the aircraft that protected the seas and carried America across the world. Grumman Befe Avenger, a tough and dependable torpedo bomber that replaced the outdated Devastator. It became a crucial carrier aircraft during the later war years thanks to its power, reliability, and heavy payload. Vought SB-2U Vindicator, a pre-war scout bomber that saw limited action early on, including at Midway. It was quickly phased out as newer and more capable dive bombers entered service. Patrol aircraft and flying boats. Boeing 314 Clipper, not a true combat aircraft, but this luxurious civilian flying boat was pressed into military service. Its long-range capability made it vital for carrying personnel and supplies across vast ocean routes. Consolidated PBY, Catalina slow, steady, and legendary. This rugged flying boat became one of the most important patrol aircraft of the war, serving in reconnaissance, anti-submarine missions, and countless rescue operations. Consolidated PB2Y, Coronado, a large four-engine flying boat used mainly for long-distance transport across the Pacific, moving cargo and essential personnel. Consolidated PB4Y-2 Privateer, a naval version of the B-24 with a single tail, built specifically for long-range maritime patrol and anti-submarine duty. Douglas Dolphin, a small amphibious aircraft used early in the war for coastal patrols and short-range utility transport. Grumman J2 F-Duc, a versatile amphibious biplane used for air-sea rescue, coastal patrol, and target towing. Grumman J4F Widgeon, a small twin-engine amphibian used mainly for anti-submarine patrol along the American coast. Grumman JRF Goose, a larger and widely used amphibious transport that served both the military and Coast Guard. Hall PH Flying Boat, a steady patrol aircraft employed by the Coast Guard during the early war years. Martin P. Bay Emmy Mariner, a key twin-engine patrol bomber that played a major role in anti-submarine operations, especially during the Battle of the Atlantic. Naval Aircraft Factory and bright yellow biplane trainer known as the Yellow Peril. It trained thousands of U.S. Navy pilots before they moved on to combat aircraft. Beechcraft C-45 Expeditor, a fast, dependable utility and liaison transport used throughout the war. Bud RB-1 Conestoga, a unique cargo aircraft built from stainless steel, featuring a large rear-loading door ideal for vehicles and heavy equipment. Consolidated C-87 Liberator Express, a transport version of the B-24 bomber airframe, designed for long-range heavy logistics across both the Atlantic and Pacific. Continuing our journey through America's World War II aircraft, we now move into the transports and trainers that kept the war effort running. Transports Cortes C-46 Commando, a large and powerful twin-engine transport aircraft. It became essential for flying cargo over the treacherous Himalayan hump route into China. Douglas C-32, an early military adaptation of the DC-2 airliner. Only a few were used, mostly for transport duty at the beginning of the war. Douglas C-47 Skytrain, the legendary workhorse of Allied logistics, reliable, rugged, and easy to service. It carried troops, supplies, and paratroopers across every major theater. Douglas C-53 Skytrooper, a dedicated troop transport version of the C-47. It lacked large cargo doors but was optimized for airborne infantry operations. Douglas C-54 Skymaster, a 4-engine long-range transport used for VIP flights, transatlantic logistics, and critical high-capacity missions. Fairchild Argus, a small, dependable liaison aircraft used in Europe for communication and light transport duties. Howard GHA, fast Navy transport derived from a civilian racing aircraft. It excelled at courier and communication roles. Lockheed Electra, a twin-engine passenger aircraft pressed into limited wartime service as a trainer in night transport. Lockheed Lodestar, a larger, faster follow-up to the Electra. It became a widely used utility transport for both the U.S. and British forces. Nordine Norseman, a rugged Canadian bush plane adopted by the U.S. Army. It was ideal for rough terrain and remote supply missions. Stinson Reliant, a versatile high-wing aircraft used for ambulance, transport, communication flights, and coastal patrol. Lockheed Vega Sleek, fast single-engine aircraft used for liaison and high-speed light transport. Light transport. Beechcraft. ATCF. Navigator, a twin-engine trainer built to teach future bomber crews advanced navigation and radio skills. Beechcraft. AT-10. Wichita, a wooden-framed twin-engine trainer designed to prepare pilots for heavier combat aircraft while saving strategic metals. Beechcraft AT-11 Kansan, a specialized bomber training aircraft equipped for gunnery and ball-maiming practice. Boeing Stearman Cadet, the iconic yellow biplane that trained thousands of U.S. pilots. Simple, steady, and forgiving, perfect for learning the basics. Cincinnati DC-7 Bobcat, a twin-engine advanced trainer called the Bambo Bomber because of its partial wooden construction. Curtiss-Wright CW-19, fledgling A, demanding twin-engine trainer used to prepare pilots for high-performance bombers and multi-engine aircraft. The Curtiss-Wright SNC Falcon was a compact advanced trainer used by the Navy, built for the final stage of pilot training. The Fairchild PT-19 Cornell followed as a simple, dependable primary trainer with an open cockpit perfect for new pilots. Fairchild's AT-21 Gunner, with its twin-boom layout, was designed to train gunners and bombardiers, though it never saw large-scale use. Another rare design was the Fleetwing's BT-12 Sophomore, the first stainless steel military trainer, used only in small numbers. One of the most iconic trainers, the North American AT-6 Texan, shaped nearly every Allied fighter pilot of the war. Its predecessor, the BT-9, served as an early basic trainer, introducing pilots to combat maneuver techniques. The Rian PT-22 Recruit, with its signature radial engine sound, became a popular low-wing primary trainer. Then came the Vultee BT-30 Valiant, rugged, reliable, and known for its light vibration during flight. Piper's PT-1 introduced tricycle landing gear, testing, and was produced only in limited quantities. Liaison, observation, and recon aircraft. The Aeronca L-3 Grasshopper was a simple high-wing plane used for spotting and frontline communication. Curtiss O-52 Al, built before the war, was soon shifted to coastal patrol because of its slower speed. The Curtiss SC Seahawk arrived late in the Warfaster, more capable float plane, though it saw little combat. Curtiss SL-3C Seamaflate, planned to replace older scout planes, struggled with stability issues and was quickly retired. Its predecessor, the SOC Seagull, remained a sturdy and dependable ship-launched observation aircraft. Interstate's L-6 Cadet was another light liaison aircraft, similar to the Grasshopper, but seen less often. North American's O-47, a larger observation aircraft, was outdated by World War II and soon reassigned to training roles. The Piper L-4 Grasshopper became the most iconic light recon aircraft of the war, flying low over battlefields to guide artillery and spot enemy movement. A later upgrade, the Piper L-14 Cadet, offered slightly more space and improved handling while keeping the same versatile role. Some aircraft were built to carry extra personnel or equipment for frontline liaison work. The Stinson L-1 Vigilant, built for extremely short takeoffs and landings, handled observation and utility missions in tough forward areas. The Stinson L-5 Sentinel, often called the Flying Ape, was a dependable liaison aircraft used to move personnel and evacuate wounded troops from improvised landing strips. The Tailcraft L-2 Grasshopper was another key light observation aircraft, commonly used for reconnaissance and command transport just behind the front lines. The Voto Stu Kingfisher became the Navy's go-to ship-launched floatplane, performing sea rescue, scouting, and spotting missions throughout the war. Gliders. The Waco CG-4A, the most widely used American combat glider, could carry 15 troops or even a jeep with a small howitzer for airborne assaults. The Loister Kaufman TG-4 was a tandem seat training glider used to prepare pilots for the challenging task of flying and landing heavy cargo gliders. Helicopters. The Sikorsky R-4, the world's first helicopter to enter mass production, saw limited but important use in rescue and reconnaissance, proving the future potential of rotary flight. The Sikorsky R-5 offered more power and range, making it effective for utility and rescue missions. Its successor, the Sikorsky R-6, was faster and more stable, serving mainly in observation and liaison roles late in the war. Drones and pilotless aircraft. The Culver PQ-8 was a radio-controlled target drone used to train anti-aircraft gunners, marking an early milestone in unmanned flight. A more advanced version, the Culver PQ-14, was faster and larger, giving crews more realistic anti-aircraft practice. The Interstate TDR was one of the earliest naval assault drones radio-controlled, aircraft tested for strike missions against heavily defended Japanese positions.